tell you guys. 3. Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to Libra Views. I'm Charlene. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. So, ciao. The tea poureth, okay? So, I was just minding my business, watching a podcast, watching the Armand Wiggins show, like I always do, like his channel. Think he's entertaining. And he was interviewing one of Diddy's entertainers. Now, Diddy and this whole case with Cassie and this, sex trafficking, whatever situations, it's heavy in the news, okay? Everybody is on it. Everybody's talking about it. Headlines, videos, I mean, you name it. The Diddy is the topic right now. But Armand did an interview with one of the entertainers who goes by the name of Flash. Okay? Let me double check that. Let me make sure this man's name is really Flash. I'm up here talking. Just a run in my mouth. Oh, let me see. Let me see real quick. Is his name Flash? I think his name is, yes, Flash. Okay, so Armand Wiggins was interviewing this guy, Flash, whatever, one of the Diddy sex workers. Now, he is probably one of the most attractive ones that we've seen amongst the lineup of dudes, I must say. Diddy does have good taste. Okay, good job, Diddy. That was a good pick. He's attractive, okay? Body, muscles, he's tall, you know what I mean? Now, I just don't talk. You know what I mean? For me, with this guy, don't talk. Okay, I don't want to hear you talk. But, he's a looker, okay? Now, he's doing an interview. Obviously, he's talking about freak offs. He's talking about his time with Cassie, his time with Diddy. He seems like he was definitely way more with it. He was down to go make his bread. He said Diddy was paying him, Now, can I just do a sidebar really quick? This entertainer Flash said that Diddy was giving him $5,000, $2,000, like thousands upon thousands of dollars, okay? And Jane Doe, aka 50 Cent's baby mama, allegedly, what's her name? Daphne Joy, the Filipino one. Apparently, she was getting $10K a month from Diddy. So you mean to tell me that Flash was getting damn near what you was getting, girl? See, now I see why you was mad, okay? I'm clocking everything is aligning, okay? Because I see why you was upset, girl. Because I'm like, damn, Flash was getting paid, okay? He was getting paid. He was happy to smash cash in front of Diddy, okay? So, anywho, back to the main topic. So he's on this interview, and he's talking. Obviously, Armand is going through, he's asking him about his past. He's asking him, about how he got into the, work of, dancing and being an entertainer and stripping and ultimately being an escort for Diddy. So he's talking, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, well, I was in Hollywood one time. He goes, I was in Hollywood at a party. And he said, I saw Eddie Murphy and Johnny Gill making out.
So, yes, it is. The first party that I went to in Hollywood, it was after I did Coach Carter. And I saw Eddie Murphy and Johnny Gill tongue kissing.
Oh. And so they talking about get back to Eddie and Johnny. When you saw Eddie and Johnny tongue kissing, was it like, what was that really quick? give us a,
I was like
you walked in?
No, I was walking down the stairs. Because I was just checking out, it was in the Hollywood Hills. So I was walking down the stairs and they were kissing at the bottom of the banister. And I'm like, damn, the Nutty Professor really is nutty. like he really is like, and they were going at it and like, for real, like swallowing tongues. So it's crazy because
I was like, huh? So if you actually watch the interview, Armand kind of like scrolls past it. And I'm like, and I feel like everybody in the comments was like, hold on, wait, what? And then Armand eventually went back and was like, okay, elaborate on the Johnny Gill piece or whatever. And which he did. And, you know, I was just like, I need to look into that. So I did some research. And I found a video. I don't know who this guy is, but this guy did an interview, and he's basically talking about how Eddie Murphy was married to a woman named Tracy in about 2006, between 2006 and 2008, and they divorced within 2 weeks. And this guy in the video said the reason why they divorced so quick was because Eddie Murphy's new wife said that Johnny Gill is not allowed to come on this vacation. And he ended up popping up on the honeymoon. And Eddie Murphy's wife of 2 weeks, whose name is Tracy, I believe. Yeah, Tracy. She divorced him in 2 weeks.
All right, so I got a funny story, though. Show y'all about the Hollywood dudes, though. Eddie Murphy married Tracy Edmonds. They were married for 2 weeks. I like Tracy because she was a gangster, because she ran the Edmonds records. And there's always been rumors out here about Johnny Gill and Eddie, right? Johnny was always showing up. I think he even lived in the back house on Eddie's property. Eddie and Tracy got married, but she said, don't have your boyfriend show up during our honeymoon. That nigga, Johnny Gill, came out there on the honeymoon. She filed for divorce on Eddie Murphy in 2 weeks.
So I'm like, okay, that's weird. So I ended up looking up Eddie Murphy and Tracy, because I only really know of Eddie Murphy messing with the Scary Spice and Nicole Murphy. Nicole Murphy. Wasn't really too familiar with anybody else that he dated. So I can see why I don't know who Tracy is, because they was only married for 2 damn weeks. But there's a website called amomama.com. I'm going to put the links down in my description box so you can click on this and read it. But this article is basically an article about Tracy Edmonds' marriage history. Tracy Edmonds is clearly somebody who was in the music industry. She was kind of like, I don't know if she was, let me read. A whole lot of people associate Tracy Edmonds to her TV projects and shows like Soul Food. However, she has also been in interesting relationships. Okay, so she's clearly somebody that was like in the entertainment, space in some way. But that she got with him, and clearly their relationship was affected because they were only married for 2 weeks. Now, this is what the article goes on to say. So basically, the article is talking about Tracy Edmonds and her dating history. She dated Babyface, she dated somebody else, but she dated Eddie Murphy briefly. And this is what the article says. It says, after Edmonds finalized her divorce with Babyface, Murphy proposed to her. They tied the knot in a beautiful sunset ceremony on a private island off Bora Bora in French Polynesia in front of 25 friends and family. Okay? Cute. Starting off cute. However, their marriage ceremony was not recognized in the States, and the groom reportedly grew standoffish after the exclusive event. According to guests who stayed behind on the island after the ceremony, there was yelling between Edmonds and Murphy, and she was heard crying afterwards. They had many arguments after the wedding. Murphy reportedly wanted Edmonds to take his name, which she could not do because of her kids. They also allegedly argued about where they would live. Murphy had been sharing his LA home with his mom and his friend, singer Johnny Gill. Edmonds refused to move in except they all move out. Their relationship lasted a total of 2 weeks before they finally divorced on January 4th, 2008. Now, the guy in the video I just showed you, he said that Tracy Edmonds divorced Eddie Murphy because she did not want Eddie to bring Johnny Gill on their honeymoon, and he came anyway. And he also referenced Johnny Gill as Eddie Murphy's boyfriend. So there's that. I'm not trying to say anything is anything. I'm just telling you what I researched based on what I watched for this interview with Armand and him saying, oh, and Flash, Diddy's entertainer, saying, oh, I was at a Hollywood party and I saw Eddie Murphy and Johnny Gill kissing, and he said it like so matter-of-factly, like, you know, clearly like that's, you know, a lot. So, I look up another article on the website, which is called thethings.com. And this is what they said about Eddie Murphy's marriage to Tracy Edmonds. A friend close to Tracy revealed that Eddie became very bossy and physically intimidating and insisted his mother accompany them on their honeymoon. This was ultimately the final straw for Edmonds, who had already compromised so much. So, yeah, it also says, while their marriage was not technically legal in the United States, the duo did in fact exchange vows and rings, making it quite an official move. Despite the couple being regarded as head over heels in love, things went awry rather quickly in the relationship, so much so that Tracy filed for a divorce 14 days later. Okay, so one article says that Eddie Murphy and Tracy got upset at Ed. One article says that Tracy got upset because Eddie brought his mother on their honeymoon. The video of the guy says that Tracy divorced Eddie because Eddie brought Johnny Gill, aka his boyfriend, allegedly, onto the honeymoon. And then the other article I read says that Eddie Murphy's mother and Johnny Gill were staying in the home. So Johnny Gill was a heavy part of being mentioned, at least so what it seems between these, you know, different articles and videos that I've watched. It seems that Johnny Gill was definitely in the mix when he was dealing with this particular woman. And then for this guy to just say, like, oh yeah, I seen them kissing. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not. I just know what was said. And it just looks like there was something there, but I don't know. I guess we will never know unless one of them come out. There are a lot of articles of Johnny Gill coming out and talking about, you know, his sexual history and what's true and what's not true. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm like, who's that talking about outside my door? But yeah, like clearly something was going on. I don't know what. I'm not saying that it was. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm just saying that's the information. You guys do with it what you will. I do know that Eddie Murphy did have a lot of allegations of being caught in a car with a transgender woman, that he had kind of gave rumors going on. Who knows? Okay. But that's all I wanted to say. That's my video is about. Hollyweird. Okay. Would never want to be in Hollywood. Never want to be in that type of space. You know, Lord willing, I get my money, you know, get my money for my creative mind. Get money and get paid for it. But as far as fame and Hollywood and all that, it seems really weird. Seems really bizarre. And I'm not trying to say that I'm not weird, because I'm weird in my own way. You know what I'm saying? But I'm weird up in my apartment doing me. You know, I'm not up in nobody's sex party, you know, getting peed on and, you know, hopping from sling to slong and, you know, making out with men and men with men and blowing up cars. Like, huh? Are we in the hood or are we in Hollywood? What is going on? Okay? Just a whole bunch of weirdos with money. A whole bunch of weirdos with money. But everybody's weird in their own way, you know? I just think, I guess when you have more money, you could just be weird at a grander scale, I guess, because you can afford to really like act out your fantasies, you know. But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for tuning into my video. And until next time, deuces.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun. I gotta be good.